The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. 20 international chess professionals compete in St. Louis as USChessChamps.com presents the second annual Winter Chess Classic. You are looking live at the world-famous tournament hall at the St. Louis Chess Club, where outside the weather is not too good. Inside, though, the very best in this club, and some players internationally, this is a big international event, are going head-to-head. Come on into the studio and stay a while. Hello, my name is Ben Simon, and I'm joined for the first time by Grandmaster in Residence, Jesse Kraai. Jesse, welcome to the broadcast. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, happy to be here. We have already some great games underway, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know. We got to talk to some of the players beforehand, and they're excited to be here. A lot of them have crazy stories to tell, and we're going to see some of that play out on the board as well. Let's take a look at our Masters division. These are the players that are in the top of this event, Group A, we call it, and 5 players we have in the top 100. 7 federations are represented in this field, from Ray Robson and Jeffrey Zhang, the real hard hitters, all the way down to Miro making his return to competitive chess after over a year away. We saw him on the Russian broadcast for the Grand Chess Tour. This is one of the strongest fields we've had yet in any Group A.
Yeah, it's a very nice field. Very no weak players, no easy games in this field, and to me, it's kind of a really nice showcase for American youth against some of the most experienced players in the world. We've got Robson, Zhang, and Sevian, all very promising, against the likes of Sasi Kiran, who's been a non-second, a big phenom in the Indian chess world. We've got Melkumyan, we've got Modulev, one of the greatest attacking players of all time. All of these wonderful players, so it's a really good test to see our youth against the most experienced in the world.
Indeed, and it's not too shabby for Group B either. Let's take a look. It's a battle of generations in this field, old versus young. This is going to be very interesting to watch, Jesse.
Well, right, and for me, although I'm for the youth in Group A, I'm very much for the old guys in Group B, guys like Michalewski and Benjamin and Perelstein. Those guys are my age, and I want them to win. And someday I want to play in this event. So I'm looking at those guys and imagining what it would be like to play in a very tough event like this.
Jesse Kraai wastes no time in selling himself for a future classical invite here to one of these events. If you're not familiar with this format, let's take a look at it. What we're dealing with is 2 10-player round robins. The time control, classical. 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, with 30 minutes added on for the remainder of the game. There is a 30-second increment from move number 1, and executive director of the club and arbiter Tony Rich made a point to say, you've got to take notation for the entire game. Players may not agree to a draw before black's 30th move, and this is to encourage fighting chess. And if you've wanted to see fighting chess, you are in the right spot after we took a look at those fields. Now, our tournament schedule is brutal. Let's take a look at what's upcoming for the next 9 days. There's no rest days, okay? We are going straight through here at USChessChamps.com. 1 p.m. every day the games begin on that website. You can watch them live. Our show will begin every day 2.5 hours after the start of the round. You will notice that on Tuesday, November 13th, everything will begin 2 hours earlier. That is because, if necessary, we will have a playoff to determine one overall champion in both fields. And you can join us all the way. YouTube, USChessChamps.com, Facebook. We are live on Twitch. We are on LeeChess.org. This is an amazing worldwide event. We want you to join the conversation with hashtag Winter Chess Classic. And big news, Jesse. This is risky, but our YouTube chat, we will be answering your questions live, so keep it civil. And if you aren't civil, banhammer you. You know how it is. That's how we do things here. All right, let's take a look at our round 1 pairings for our Masters division. These games are in progress. Alexander Shimanov versus Krishnan Sasakiran. You know, he goes by Sasi.
Sasi,
So
I like that
Sasi.
name, yeah, Sasi.
Ray Robson versus Yunieski Quesada Perez. Sam Sevian versus Daro Spirits. Alexander Motilev versus Evgeny Miroshnichenko. You can call him Miro. But our key matchup of Group A today, Jeffrey Zhang versus Hrant Melkumyan. And this is a game that really piqued your interest, Jesse.
Right, and I want to say first off, Melkumyan is a really nice guy. He doesn't look nearly as mean, as criminal, as he does in that photo.
He must have had a bad day. Jeffrey's happy, though. That's
Jeffrey's
nice.
happy, and he's happy in our current position. If we take a look, he's happy on two regards. He's up the exchange for, let's call it dubious compensation, plus he's got an incredible time advantage. Melkumyan only has 3 minutes left to make 20 moves, and where they get 30 seconds to move in addition.
Correct.
Right? But
Increment.
still, that's not that much. And right, it's kind of a, I'll put it, maybe we'll take a look at how we got here, but if we just start from here, let's say that White's technical challenge now is to open the position and to hopefully trade off a rook on c8. The rooks, the extra rook, White has the exchange, wants freedom and power along the d file. So exchanges are kind of the order of the day. Black is probably technically lost. However, the Armenian's not going to go down with the fight, and he has, with his pawn on f6, he's tried to constrict some of the white pieces. And let's go back to see how we got here, because it was really interesting also to see how the time struggle happened. So let's put it here. And in this position that's kind of theoretical, Melkumyan started to think.
Oh.
He started to think really hard. And it was surprising because, you know, he was the one who played this move, a5, which struck me as like the kind of move you'd prepare for if you were going to do it. Right? So in any case, he was thinking on his own here on bishop c5, and again here after knight a3, and came up with what I thought was a very nice trick. I don't think this was prepared. And the idea was this: knight d7, knight c4. Now on the surface of things, I want to say as a Catalan player, this looked terrible for black because the bishop on c8 is terrible, and this square is nicely blockaded by our two knights here. The bishop is looking to get out, and in addition to that, White has a development advantage. So here, let's look at what Black did. First he castled, and then he played this beautiful move, b6. Very hard move to see because the move knight fe5 looks like it's just crushing right away. Now, another GM in residence who's been here quite a bit is Josh Friedel, and you know, when we analyze together, he never will give up. So we made the gentleman's agreement that if I get a knight on c6, he has to resign, and that's what it looks like here. It's looking like, at least by the gentleman's agreement, or you know, knight c6 is going to happen, and therefore White has to resign. But the trick was very nice, and it's this: knight e5. And first of all, if you take here, after knight c4, you're just in trouble because the bishop is hanging. So that's the first nuance. And then the second, more interesting one is knight e5. It looks like White's winning, but I think Melkumyan's trick was queen c7. Very beautiful move, threatening the knight, but more importantly, threatening the queen with a discovered attack on c2.
So White saw this.
White saw this, and very inventive for Black to play this way. And the thing about it, too, is if he didn't find something like that, then he is in trouble anyway, because the bishop on c8 won't get out. So he has to, I guess, find something. It's very inventive play. And I'm going to call knight e1 a mature move from our youngster, because first of all, he doesn't fall into it, and instead he's just going to be looking now to patiently solve his coordination with knight d3, and the knight will look at the bishop on c5. And here is, to me, I'm going to call this the moment of the day for me, was right here where Melkumyan maybe inspired by, you know, his recent inventiveness over the board, really makes an interesting attempt here with bishop a6, sacrificing the exchange. And the thing about this is he really didn't have to do it. He could have played a move like knight d5, and as far as I can tell, I don't know, it's about roughly equal. Nothing that special. So bishop a6 is really going to go for it, and in the next couple moves it seemed like Jeffrey not only played precisely, but then did not fall into time pressure. In fact, it's Melkumyan who is in big time pressure already right here. He snipped, b3, rook c8, and just calmly he plays queen d1. And this kind of position was the conception, I think, for Melkumyan when he played bishop a6, sacrificing the exchange. It's very abstract and unclear if he has enough. It'd be hard to like judge it in advance. And there's more than one move that he has here. In the game he played queen d5, but I would say this was his critical moment. You know, maybe queen e4. If we talked to him after the game, he might want it with queen e4. Or maybe knight e4. But he chose queen d5. And it looks for a second like we're going to be able to maybe play bishop b7 and create some grief on the light squares. But unfortunately, really, the knight is just, on e1, is just going to return to f3 to block all that off. So somewhere around here, Melkumyan realized it's not going like I wanted it to go anymore. Knight e4, knight f3, and now I think here's where he switches gears into trying to play defensive chess. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen c6, and now he's just going to try to hold the position. Once he gave up the unopposed light square bishop, which was kind of like the whole dream of the position, it's clear he is not doing anything special anymore. Now he's just going to be playing defense. And here's our, so we return to our current position, and that's where we are. And like I said, there are technical difficulties for Jeffrey, but it looks very good. It looks very good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we may have maybe at least a couple more moves played. E5 is played in this position, I'm told.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
bishop e3. Not updating on
that now it has.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So let's say this. Let's go back for a second. So f6. Very simple move now played. Queen d3. It's why we're going to touch the knight, and we're also going to be thinking about rook fd1. And that brings me actually another important thing about this position. Normally when someone sacrifices something against you, you're the one who has the more difficult position to play. But in fact here, it's much simpler for white. He knows what to do. It's just we're going to put the rooks in the middle. So queen d3, knight f8, not a happy move, bishop e3, and now e5. So let me try to explain what I think black is dreaming of. The pawns on f6 and e5 are dominating the knight on f3, so at least we have that. And also, he's trying to say it's not that bad of a deal if white goes into the endgame with queen d5. It's obviously very pleasant, though, for white. There's more than one move here, I'm sure. Probably rook fd1 is playable, queen d5 is playable. Black is going to come and play knight e6, though. In fact, I believe if queen d5, that knight e6 is the intention. And the only reason to believe that maybe white doesn't win instantly is because the knight on f3 is not that happy, right? Because it's blocked in by those pawns on f6 and e5. Now you have a puzzled look on your face, so go ahead and ask your question. Ask your question.
Well, so the f3 knight. And
yeah.
What would you suggest here to go back? This is live position? He's not.
No, let me go back to the live position here. This is where white really has. Right. This is what we call a pleasant choice or a luxury choice, right? Because you have more than one good move here, right? You can do rook fd1, queen d5, maybe even knight d2 to immediately ask the knight a question. Oh, I called it. Look at that, knight d2. That's what he did, and. I want to call that another mature move because there's other things that white could have done. But something I admire about that move is he realizes that his knight on f3 was the only true problem in the position. And so he goes to instantly fix it, right? So very nice. And now we get an exchange on e3 and knight c5. So incredibly pleasant position now for white. But notice, it's still not over. The knight's going to come to e6 and try to get some kind of counterplay. And let's say this, the key question is, are the white rooks going to be able to penetrate on the d file? And are we going to be able to block, to get black out of this blockading position that he has on c5? So I'm going to call this a technically one position, but there's still some drama left.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is something we're definitely going to keep our eyes on.
Right.
But in the meantime, let's take a look at Group B, and there's multiple stories going on right here. First of all, here are the games going on. We have Lucas van Foreest versus Aram Hakobyan, Robbie Kevalishvili versus Joel Benjamin, Zavan Andreassian versus Eugene Perelstein. We have a game that's ended, and if you look on uschesschamps.com, there was some confusion because it looked like it never began. It was a forfeit. JJ Ali Marandi, playing for Turkey, has earned himself a point, and he's got the day off. Easy work right there. The truth is, Timur Gareev is not here. Timur Gareev is still scheduled to play in this tournament. However, he missed his flight yesterday. I heard that he was playing in another tournament when the flight was supposed to take off. Not sure how that's organized, but regardless, he's supposed to be here in St. Louis later this evening. So he will play the remaining 8 rounds at a potential 1-point deficit. Right. And he will still be eligible for all prizes. This is the first time something like this has happened in one of these seasonal classic events. So this is new. But hopefully we will see Timur tomorrow. It's fully expected that we will. And this is the only forfeit of this event. So now we all know about the free spirit known as Timur Gareev, the cover boy of Chess Life magazine this month. But our key matchup now in Group B is Greece versus Israel. Nicholas Theodorou versus Viktor Michalevsky, a former Group B champion here at the Classics. Right. Let's take a look at the game, Jesse.
Yeah, it's evolving reasonably well for Big Mick. There's some, well, maybe not. Okay. Big Mick is a known expert in the Grunfeld. And
Big Nick?
Big Mick, that's what we call him. For Big Michalevsky. Big Mick.
Oh, okay, wrong guy. Okay.
Big Mick. And he's a known expert in the Grunfeld. And so his opponent did well to kind of do some interesting offbeat line to get him maybe a little bit tricked. And we have in front of us kind of a critical question for Big Mick. Let's just say he's actually in a little bit of trouble. Let's look. If king takes on e8, there are multiple problems here. There is rook c7, and there's also the very direct g4. And you got to wonder if Big Mick is going to live through that. For example, on g4, well, it's just bad. It's just a bad situation. You're going to have to do, I don't know, something like f6. That's why Big Mick is thinking about this king takes e8 move. So maybe our young Greek player is very much taking control of the old guys. And again, I am rooting for the old guys, and this would be terrible for me. I've played Big Mick many times. He is very hard to beat, but here we are in move 25, and he's definitely in trouble. Maybe let's go back a little bit and look how we got here. Yeah, let's start around here. White got this position, and it looks on the surface as if it shouldn't be so threatening. However, after knight b4, takes, knight c5, White has these two beautiful knights on e5 and c5. And it's not entirely clear what Big Mick should do. In particular, what do you do about the pawn on b7? Now, Big Mick is always tricky. Whenever he played me, he was tricky. So he starts off with bishop d2 and goes back and asks, do you want to draw? The young Greek says, no, I'll play over here. Now, in some ways, it feels like a concession because now the rook isn't on the a file. And now Big Mick plays rook c7, And maybe, I'm sure actually he missed knight e4. That was the shot that Big Mick missed.
Oh. Why is that?
The rook on c8 wants to defend the pawn on b7. That's why he plays rook c7. But he doesn't realize that on knight e4, bam!
He's just hanging, yeah.
You're hanging the knight on f6, right? So if rook c1, knight f6, and we're in trouble. Yeah, let me go through that line, actually. Rook c1, knight f6, king g7, rook c1, king f6, and both g4 looks like it wins on the spot, but rook c7 also looks completely deadly. So, very unpleasant. Now, let me just say, it'll be interesting to talk to Big Mick tonight. As an older guy, one thing I know is you start suffering senior moments. And I think this is a senior moment. It's unfortunate to say, but I think us old guys, we just start missing things at a certain level. And almost anything would have been better than rook c7. Rook c7, a blunder, knight e4. Then Big Mick tried knight e8, but after this, it's looking real bad. He does take on e8 like we... No. In fact, that was just my variations, excuse me. This is our position here, and Big Mick is thinking about taking this knight. Unfortunately, the knight is threatening just to come back. So that knight needs to be dealt with. Looking real bad for Big Mick.
Now, Big Mick turns 46 this year.
Yeah.
How old are you?
46.
So that's old by chess standards, huh?
Oh, yeah, ancient. Ancient. In fact, you know, in the Group A, I don't think there's any, what's the oldest person, 33 or something? Saucy at like 30-something, you know? It's pretty young.
Yeah, 30, no. Miro.
Miro
Okay, is
yeah.
the oldest in Group A. He turns 40 this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say, let's do this before we go back to Group A.
Well, there's a draw, actually.
There's a draw.
I guess that's maybe what you saw. Andrasian versus Perelstein.
Right.
We may not look at it for too long.
And I'll say this about my friend Perelstein. He held quite easily in this game. He played an opening that I thought he was going to get in trouble for. Let's just put that up on the board. This is this famous accelerated dragon that Perelstein has been playing at least 15 years. It had to be no surprise to Andreasian what is happening in this, that this was going to happen. But Perelstein is very good in these positions, and this is actually like an advertisement for knowing your opening really well. Like not being afraid of any of the prep and just knowing it really well. And yeah, he just confidently plays this out to a drawn situation right there. Boom, f4. And now everything comes off. And it's basically already now it's a draw. So very nice play from Perelstein to just solidly enter this as an old man. I'm sure people are going to be gunning for him. He's like lower rated and he's the old guy. They're going to try to kill him. So this was a nice draw. And we could, yeah, that was clear that was going to be a draw quite some time ago. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, just because we're on the subject of old man, let's check in on my friend Joel Benjamin. This game has been going back and forth.
Okay, we're staying with Group B here.
We're Group B.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to go to Group A in just a second.
Yes.
But I will say this game has been going back and forth. It's been looking like it's been pleasant for White for some time. And I think after knight b7, we can say that White definitely has what could be called the nagging yank, right? He's got some pressure on Black. It's not so easy to get out. But, you know, Benjamin is famous for holding on to slightly difficult positions. So we'll be looking at this one. So far, not looking so great for the old guys. But we're not going to give up yet.
Right. Joel Benjamin is making his return to the club after quite a while away. The last event he played here was the 2013 U.S. Championship, which was a 24-player Swiss. It was actually the last Swiss national championship we had here at the club.
Right.
So it's good to have him back, good to see him as one of the, as you said, old guys in the field. If you will,
yeah.
Group B,
yeah.
there is a game. Van Foreest versus Hakobyan.
Oh,
I think we should glance at before we dance back to Group A. Lucas Van Foreest, if you haven't seen him before, are you familiar with Robin van Kampen, one of the chess bras? They look nearly identical.
Well, I'm a Dutch guy too, by at least genetics, and I don't look that good. These guys look really good, man. You know, I don't look that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like models.
Well, let's not put them over too hard here. You know how chess bras get. And I'm sure the Robin van Kampen is somewhere listening.
So it's been a while since white sacrificed some stuff, and it looks like black gave it back, and we have a full-on mess here. Why don't we go back just a touch to see where some of this madness happened? I think right around here. So in this position, white, his rook is hanging on a2, and he says, you know what? You can have my rook. And black says, okay, I'll take it then. Queen c1, queen b1, giving it back. Right. So very forcing variation. And then we get this endgame where I think we should say that it should be winning for white. So a very nice, yeah, very beautiful play from the young Dutchman, who's still, I believe, an IM, right? Or maybe I'm wrong about that. So in this position, I think he's going to win. The poor king is just getting crushed over there. And, you know, what's going to happen? Rook g3 is going to come. G4 is going to come. Should be lost.
Was that queen exchange a few moves ago, was that the mistake from Hakobyan?
Well, I don't. Let's go maybe a little bit earlier, in fact. It's funny with this bishop e3 thing because, you know, this is the same variation that Benjamin's opponent is also playing against. This is an old school Rui. So I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Kevalishvili played this against Benjamin, this bishop e3 thing as well. And we got this position, and it seems like normally black is supposed to be okay. d5 is arguably the controversial move, however. And that would have been black's intention from the start. So bishop g5 aggressively puts the knight to the question. They were asking the pawn on d5 too. So what has to happen? You're already in trouble because on de4, knight e4, queen d5, something like that has to happen to get yourself out of the pin on f6. And it's here where it's not that difficult to spot, but it's beautiful with bishop f6. And the problem is after you take my rook, after queen c1, I have a very simple threat of coming to g5. And really, the only way out is to play queen b1. So that's how we got this. And so, yeah, very nice. You know, when you play the Rui, you kind of have to wait for your chances. And Van Foreest definitely seized it here with bishop g5. Yeah, so the mistake is somewhere over here about the decisions that black takes in this position. Because this position should be fundamentally okay for black. Yeah. So, nice game there.
Are you familiar with either of these particular players, Van Foreest or Hakobyan?
Not so much, no.
Yeah, two new faces for me. I know that there's a lot of players returning in this event, probably more so than usual in this classic. So it's nice to have these little reunions every now and then, but also nice to meet some of the new players.
Yeah.
So a reminder, if you want to look at games other than what we're watching, check out uschesschamps.com, and you can see all the games live as they're happening, and then we have a little video insert up in the corner as well. We do have, someone said in the chat that the stream is just not the same without a seasonal gimmick, like the pumpkins we had with Eric Rosen. Now, I'm sure, give us a moment here. We might be able to do something for you.
How about that?
How is that for a seasonal gimmick? You wanted it, you got it. There's more coming. So, all right.
Can we play the video of Timur jumping out of the airplane? That's my gimmick. I want to play that video.
Let's wait until he gets here. Let's wait until he gets here just in case.
Let me just say my theory about Timur is that he was on the airplane and he just, you know, in Russia things work a little differently. He talked to the stewardesses.
Oh, by the way, just in case you don't know, so Timur Gareev, the cover boy of Chess Life magazine this month, is jumping out of an airplane on the photo shoot, and he has a wooden chessboard. I imagine that the pieces are glued onto the board; they don't move. And he's jumping out of a plane. It's a great video, amazing video.
We're going to show this video a lot.
We do have a video. If you want to watch it right now, the U.S. Chess Federation, U.S. Chess YouTube has it on their channel. Also, uschess.org. It's amazing stuff. But I'm hesitant to put the guy over if he's not here yet. Well, I was supposed to be here later tonight.
I was going to say, I think what happened is he talked to the stewardesses, he got on the plane, and he was ready to come here, but he's like, I've had already the first adrenaline rush, and I wanted again. So, somewhere over the Atlantic, he just got out of the plane and jumped, man.
He landed on dry land, best I could tell, hopefully. So that was the first game that ended in Group B, the first decision. What other games have caught your eye, perhaps in Group A, Jesse?
Let's take a look at some of the youngins, and let's start with Ray Robson. And let's actually go through this game from the start.
Now, you call him Robson. I thought it was Robson.
That's an interesting. I don't know actually what the
maybe we'll have to double check on that.
Yeah. When he was up, I'll just say I first heard Ray's name probably around 2007, and maybe then people were calling him Robson.
He was tiny.
He was tiny, and he was like, we all thought he was the next coming, and he kind of has been. And I loved the way he played this opening here. It felt like he caught Quesada off guard and got this very nice e3 move in, where the e3 pawn is going to blunt the knight on d4 and the bishop on c5. And more importantly, after castles, we're going to shut it down with d4. So I felt, after h3, preventing bishop g4, that this was a very successful opening because black's pieces are dominated. Now, in this position, I think black made a move that I'm eager to talk to him and Robson about that seems very controversial to me. When I was a kid, they said, do not take the pawn on d4 because that's your friend, that pawn on e5. He's working for you. He's part of your center. And, of course, you're also freeing Robson's bishop on c1 when you take. So I think anything's better than taking knight e4, h6, queen somewhere. Don't take on d4. Robson got this position, h6, knight c3, a6, a3. I love this move too. We're just going to slowly expand on the queen side, and the idea is to take all the squares away from the black pieces. Knight e7, rook e1, c6. And here's the moment that I'd like to ask the players about when they come in. I feel like white is better here, and that he can do a variety of different moves. But the move he played, I really don't like, and this is going to lead to what I think is going to be the unclear struggle that we're going to find before us, right? The bishop on b6, currently not that active, blunted by the d4 pawn, kind of like the core of white's advantage. And for reasons that are inexplicable to me, Robson played d5.
Problem solved for black.
Problem solved for black. And then now, I'd be happy to play this position as black. Our pieces all have reasonable squares. And yeah, it's just going to turn into a mess. The pawn on f2, not so happy. The king, therefore, not so happy. And so various things happen. Black looks fine. It's a messy situation. Yeah, we're coming close to where we are. I'd rather be black all of a sudden. And it makes sense. You know, white gave us what we wanted. h5, rook a3. Rook a3 is the kind of move you make when things aren't going so well. Bishop f5. And here we are. By no means over or anything like that, but simply a successful launch into the game for Quesada. Especially after that opening where I felt like he should have been getting hurt. All right. Now, another strange game from our young players. that I don't know if so strange, but let's just check it out.
Sam Sevian,
Sam Sevian.
Longtime competitor here at the chess club.
That's right.
We saw him basically grow up around the time he was getting his Grandmaster title. He started playing here. I think it was the 2013 U.S. Champs was the first time he played in that particular event here.
Yeah.
So he feels like somewhat of a hometown favorite, even though he doesn't. He's not. Daro Svirts, though, is a hometowner. He came here to go to SLU. He's on the St. Louis University team. So, yeah, definitely two promising up-and-comers in the world of chess.
Yeah, I first met Sam, I guess, 2010. He was just a little kid. And, you know, he was one of these genius kids. And like everybody else, you know, it's that are, not everybody, but of the kids who have made 2600 at an early age, then the big question is can they go further? Can they go beyond that? And obviously, all three of them, Sevian, Robson, and Zhang, are going to be looking for big tournaments here today, and big wins today. And so the first thing that's interesting to me is this move. There's been a number of attempts now by White to fight the Najdorf, and basically they're all weird. Like, White's tried the weird things like H3 here, all kinds of strange moves that make absolutely no sense to me. What it shows is that the White players are basically frustrated with this Najdorf, and so it's been proving itself. And Knight B3 is obviously kind of funny because in so many variations of the Sicilian, Black is trying to make that knight move away from the center. But what Sevian has in mind is to play like a reversed English. And so he's losing this tempo now, and Black says, okay, let's reverse the English. It's getting reversed English, and Sevian gets this position, which I have had as Black with reverse colors. Obviously, I had one tempo less. And now plays this mildly controversial move, Knight D5. Knight D7, Queen C1, E6, back, B5. And here I feel like Black is fine. No big problems, and like what often happens when you play against the Sicilian is you have to be careful that your knights don't end up getting dominated. So this guy doesn't have a lot of squares. And this one, the knight on c3, doesn't have squares to go to either. And another thing about the Sicilian that definitely applies here is that the c2 pawn is not fighting for the center at the moment, and later might become a victim with the rook on c8. Right, so let's go a couple more moves. A3, that's a sad move to make. Rook D1, bishop B7, knight C4. Black seems very fine here and is really pushing for it now with knight with E5. Beautiful. So to me, it looks like Black has had a very successful open to this game, but there's still a lot of questions remaining, especially right here, about how this is going to move forward and whether Black really has something or maybe it's not so special. Obviously, the threat of D4 needs to be dealt with. Right. So, yeah, the kids. It's not so easy. Let's do an update on Jeffrey's game, see where he is.
Yeah, sure. Our key matchup in Group A. This was, I mean, it was a great pick. We called it the key matchup before we knew. But this is still in Jeffrey's favor, Jesse.
Let's take a look at what happened since we left. Obviously, a bunch of moves have been played. We're getting into time pressure. Melkumyan only has under a minute left. And White's just playing all the standard stuff. He's trying to trade his knight. Actually, that's a nice move with knight b7, at least on a practical level, because he's saying, if you can't, I'm going to try to play against the knight. So remember when the knight was on f3 and we're saying the knight is bad. Here Black is trying to say, okay, I'm not completely lost because your knight is bad. And that's why I'm not going to let you trade it off. And I'm not going to let you trade anything but the knights. Now the knight is at least looking at the d4 square. Again, this looks lost, but it's Melkumyan is putting up some pressure. F4 is an interesting move because it's saying, I'm going to give you a pawn, but what I want in return for that pawn is to open the position for both my knights and my rooks. Actually, I like this move a lot. EF4, knight d4. And so now you either have to trade something or let my knight, which we're trying to make bad, right? It was like the one thing that black had was a bad knight. And Sevian has sacked a pawn, excuse me, not Sevian, Zhang has sacked a pawn just to get the knight free. So a very good practical move. King f7, rook b1, now it's getting critical with the b6 weakness. Takes, takes, knight g5, takes. This is completely lost. Yeah, you can't, it's over. You can't move the rook. The knight, which was the worst piece, is now a fantastic piece. The pawn on c4 is passed. We've regained the pawn that we had lost. So in a position like this, one thing we sometimes say is that white has the pawn and the compensation, right? Yeah, very nice play from Zhang. And so,
and right now, actually, as I'm looking at a different shot of the board, the rooks have been exchanged.
Oh yeah. Let's refresh. Let's see how that happened. So knight b6. Oh, very simple play. Yeah, and actually, I want to say this is a very instructive moment for anybody watching. When you're playing against someone who sacrificed the exchange, it's a really good idea to trade your opponent's rooks. And the reason is that for a long time, white's rooks have been doing oftentimes the same thing, kind of doing the same job. Whereas the rook and knight, black's rook and knight, they do different things. So by getting rid of his rook, it really is going to make the knights look helpless. And they're definitely helpless here with knight d8. And here, well, there's nothing doing, really. We're going to march the c-pawn. And honestly, I think even without the c-pawn, this is a winning position. Right. Yeah.
It's often really hard to predict when a player is going to throw in the towel because it's so much on that player's temperament.
Right.
And I don't know much about Melkumyan, hardly anything. So how long do you think that he'll play on before he gives it a rest against Jeffrey?
He'll definitely play on to at least after move 40 because he's going to get some more time at move 40, and then he can at least think about it.
It looks like they're on move 40 right about now.
Yeah. So, well, it's Jeffrey's move.
Oh, we have a result on another board here as Van Foreest has vanquished his opponent Hakobyan in Group B. That's our first decision we've seen. A 1-0 or a 1 across the board here today. So maybe we can get Van Foreest in here to talk about his game with Hakobyan.
Yeah, that was a nice game. Let's just look at where we stopped last time. Oh my God, how did this even happen? So, in this position, the knight is threatening to go to e7. Situation critical. Knight e7. Now the king is forced back. Bishop f6. This is a nice move because if you play rook g3 immediately, you give black some semblance of a hope with f6. So we're just going to really lock down the mating pattern here with bishop f6 first, and then play rook g3. This is like one of those Polgar mate positions, honestly. We're controlling all the squares around the black king. And so this is lost, but let's see how he finished it off. Rook e8, rook g3, h5 to get some luft, check to the miserable king, check to the miserable king, and it's really time to resign here with f4. f4 is a really brutal and beautiful move. He's just going to put the pawn on f5 and then say mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not much to do about that, not much to do. So yeah, very nice game, and I think, I assume they're going to be looking at the game now, and at some point black made a critical miscalculation, let's say somewhere around here, with taking on d4. As you know from our analysis of the Robson game, I do not like it when black gives up his e5 pawn. If he does it, he better get something for it. And in the game, he must have been saying to himself, oh, if I get the bishop on a2, then my game will be beautiful. But Foreest said, you know what? That's a beautiful knight on c3. The knight can't go to c3 until you take. That's a beautiful knight. And in fact, that's the knight, one of the knights that's going to end up hurting you later, right? Bishop g5, boom, there it comes. So, yeah, something about that Black didn't see coming.
Very well. One of the games we haven't yet looked at in Group A, Motilev versus Miro, Russia versus Ukraine.
Right.
Here, both the Russian speakers. I think we should take a look at what's going on in that one.
I spent a lot of time in the playing hall looking at the beginnings of this game.
Well, look at the king. Look at White's king right there. What's it doing?
It's a beautiful king. It controls way more squares than the Black king. And I really like the way Motilev played this. Now, I just say, Motilev is known as being one of the greatest attacking players that's ever been. Okay, and I believe that. Also one of the greatest tacticians. But in this game, he headed straight for the endgame after this in the Petrov here. I am not too familiar with this kind of thing, though I've seen similar variations. And it seems as if there's not that much going on here. But the nice thing is that White can continue to play in creative ways as he does in this game. And I love, let's start off with this move f3. It's going to be very nice. The king is going to come to f2. We're threatening things like g4.
Jesse, just sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
We do have Lucas Van Foreest ready for an interview.
Great,
so
great.
Keep on looking at this game, and I'll return shortly.
Okay, great. Yeah, and so f3 not only prepares g4, but as we see in the end position, not the end, but the current position, the White king is going to be better than the Black king. And so it's not probably still an equal position, but it's an interesting way of playing a slow endgame. And the nice thing is here, the knight is going to come to g3 to try to embarrass the bishop on f5. And here I thought maybe knight b6, but Miro plays knight f8, bishop d7. He should still be okay. King f2, knight e6, and now knight d3. I like the move a lot. Avoiding the exchange and intending to plant the knight on e5. So that's what happens. And we have Mr. Van Foreest with us. We're going to hook him up and maybe ask him a question or two about the game. I'll pull it up. So, Lucas, happy to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, let's take a look and maybe walk me through some of what you thought were the key moments of this game.
Yeah, okay, so I think the opening was normal.
Yeah.
This b5 move, it was played by Jakovenko, I think, in some game, but I did not really remember anything.
So just for our fans, I thought I was a little surprised by it. What would you say is the idea, just to play b4 and get some play on the b5?
Yeah, it's just b4, b takes c3, and then
and then who knows what's going to happen, right?
I only knew it was a move, but I did not know, I also did not know what the idea was exactly.
Right.
It's very concrete.
So, well, let me ask you this. It felt to me like Black's big decision came here.
Yeah.
What to do, or actually let's call it right there, right after bishop e3.
Well, actually, I was not sure about rook b8, because what happens if he takes on c3 and plays rook e8?
Right, right. He decides to go on an adventure on the queen side, and it seems like more traditional would be, at some point play ed and d5,
sure,
or rook e8 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what. But okay, it cannot be really a bad move, rook b8.
Okay, I agree.
But I felt I had some control over the center after bishop e3.
And maybe you talked to Aram after the game. Did he miss something here with what now came?
Yeah, I think he misevaluated the ending actually. So we both saw everything, but
really,
yeah,
wow.
I was surprised. But he just told me I thought he just blundered somewhere, but no.
Okay, so you guys, this is really an interesting moment, because when I looked at the game, I came to this moment and I said, Black missed something around here.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But in fact, we're going to walk through this, and apparently he did see quite far. So let's walk through it a little bit. Takes, takes, knight b4.
Yeah, this all looks forced to me.
So let's just say for the fans, on a positional level, Black is going to say, I'm gaining this beautiful bishop on a2.
Yeah.
And that's somehow a big deal. However, before your knight could not go to c3, now it gets to go to c3. That's kind of a big deal.
So I have the center, maybe slight pawn structure advantage, and
development
advantage.
Yeah. And the bishop on a7, not so great.
Yeah, it was out of the game,
Right.
like for the rest of the game. And here, after rook takes, maybe you should play bishop e6, but I would guess that white is a bit better.
But you wouldn't go for this unless you had some idea already, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did not calculate that much. I only calculated d5 because d5 looks really...
That's the only thing
If
you
that
gotta worry
works,
about.
black is totally fine.
Right. So you're saying he saw bishop g5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he told me, okay, I didn't assume that he missed bishop d5, but maybe he wanted to take, and maybe play bishop b7.
But then he's just worse.
Yeah. I would play knight takes f6, g takes, and bishop h6, and okay, he will have the bishop pair, but this bishop on a7 is still out of play, and okay, his king safety is really...
Okay, well, let's show this variation. Queen d5.
Yeah, so knight
takes. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Queen a2.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
here I also had some other interesting option, rook e5. And it's... and after h6, because I threatened rook g5 mate, I was thinking about rook h5, rook b1, rook takes h6.
Yeah.
And then you take, king takes, king h2, rook h1.
Rook h1.
And then I cannot take, because then queen b1.
Right.
But I play king g3, and I win. But the problem is...
That's a good variation.
Yeah, he's a queen and a rook up. But the problem for me is that he doesn't have to play rook b1, but he can go rook b6. Because I'm just an entire rook down, and after rook takes h6, he will take on f6, and then he should be better.
It would be surprising if that worked out for you.
But when I was really hoping it would, like, how amazing would that be to win the game in that fashion. But after queen c1.
Amazing that he saw all this. Queen c1,
Yeah.
queen b1. Okay, it's forced. So let's just say white was threatening queen g5, and now queen g6 is the defense. But of course, you're not fully protected on b1. So Lucas takes.
But I was also surprised that he went for this, like, intentionally.
And you know, we were talking in the broadcast. I said white has the pawn and the compensation.
Yeah,
that's what
true,
it looked like to me. You know, it looks like, well.
Yeah, it looks like I'm just winning here.
So he saw this, and what? Okay, so what did he miss? How did
maybe he just thought that, okay, I'm slightly worse, but I have bishop pair, and he did not really see that his king safety is really a big deal. Yeah, so he maybe thought like bishop b6, which was played, rook e1, and then there's an important tactical nuance that bishop f5 doesn't work after rook e1.
So is the point that if he doesn't play bishop b6, if he plays rook e8 now?
Yeah, maybe that's probably better. That will give the best.
But maybe he was worried about a5 and then rook c1 or something like that?
Yeah, rook c1. I have many plans.
Yeah, you have a lot of plans.
But this bishop will be caged in.
There's so many terrible things that you can hurt him with. Like, I was thinking actually just with rook e8 there, excuse me. With rook e8, like on rook c1, bishop b6, you could even maybe do a5 now.
Well, here I can take, right? Because I can go to f8. But it's still tricky, but...
What do you mean, like take? Oh, no, I mean, of course, I don't know exactly what to think. This looks, I wouldn't want this.
It's really scary.
Yeah.
But maybe it just worked out for black, maybe.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I would, if I mean, I don't think I could see that far ahead anyway, but if I did, I would say, no, there's just too many things to be scared about.
I agree.
Yeah. So, all right, you took, and let's look
at so what he missed here, it's quite important, that bishop f5. If he gets that in, he will maybe have some drawing chances.
Right.
But the problem is that I can play a5.
a5, right. Let's take a look at that. So bishop f5 and the very simple a5.
And he takes, I play rook e5 with the double attack.
Boy. Yeah. Though, okay, let me just play devil's advocate. Let's pretend a5 wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, and you do something like either g4 or rook e5. It's still, I don't know, it still doesn't look too
it's
pleasant.
terrible, yeah. I agree. But
okay, so
but it's something to hope for, and actually it's this ending is his only try after Queen D5. Like,
right.
This is the only thing he could play, and after A5, I was just like, okay, how can I mate the guy?
Sure, absolutely. You've got the pawn and the compensation. You got everything going for you here.
Yeah, I really liked this maneuver.
I did too. Knight C6, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, just it looks game over here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Bishop F5. Yeah.
And here Bishop D7 is of course losing immediately. He should try Bishop E4.
Okay.
Because after Rook G3, he can go King F5, and then it's not so clear.
Oh, and if Knight E7, King H7, Rook G3, then he can maybe try F6.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not easy actually.
So Rook G3, King F5.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here exactly.
Huh. So you must have just felt like, in principle, it shouldn't work out for him.
Yeah. Okay, he should definitely be lost here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would think too.
But I did not see a clear, super clear cut way after Bishop E4. At least he has some small hope.
So, okay, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. So Knight E7, King H7, and I don't know, Rook F6.
Yeah. Does Black have a move?
It's hard, right? And if nothing else, I can play Knight F5. I can do a bunch of things, I feel, right?
Yeah, the threat right now is probably F3. Or
F3,
or maybe King H2, just some
I mean, I don't have to do anything either.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Okay, so Bishop D7, and now you got a very nice mating net here, right? And it's just over, and we're going to show one nice move here. Black could resign here, but I like this F4, because now you're going to play F5. And
so
you got the
he has to play Bishop C2, probably, and then G4.
G4.
And I will just continue with F5, and then his king doesn't have a lot of squares.
No. A lot of squares. Well, very nice game.
Yeah.
Very nice game.
Looked quite correct from the white side, at least.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thanks.
All right. All right, we're going to go for a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
A moment comes in chess when you need to test yourself at a different level. Chess 24 Premium offers the tools that you need to reach your maximum potential. From hundreds of interactive video lessons to becoming part of the Chess 24 community. You can analyze with friends or coach your students live. You get 24/7 coverage of chess news and events, access to premium analysis and commentary, and the chance to interact with grandmasters and other top players and coaches. Get advice from the best and even challenge them to a battle. Be the best chess player you can be. It's time to level up your game with Chess 24 Premium membership.
When you visit St. Louis, you'll probably want to watch the Cardinals or the Blues. What about after the game? Heading back to the hotel would be a major error. Instead, boogie through the city and discover the music that gave the blues their name. At the National Blues Museum, Broadway Oyster Bar, or even the legendary Blueberry Hill. So whether you love the Cardinals, the blues, or the blues, come play with us. And you guys know I can't play this, right? St. Lou is always exploring.
All right, we are joined here with Jeffrey Zhang, who has won a very nice round one game against Melkumyan, one of the top players in the world, a member of the Armenian team. And so, Jeffrey, let's take a look. Let me ask a question. So I was following this game, and, you know, we get this Catalan, and I don't know too much about this variation, but what's interesting to me was that right around here, Melkumyan started thinking.
Yeah.
Right. He started thinking a long time now. It surprised me because you haven't done anything that abnormal, right? You've just
Well, no, he was thinking after knight a3. Like I took knight a3, yeah. Because yeah, actually, he's the only player who has ever tried this system. And yeah, no one has ever played this before. Actually, I had a game against Melkumyan in Blitz, and I played something else. So yeah, this caught him off guard a bit.
Well, you know, it's odd. I mean, let's just say it's a little weird what he's done, right? Because he's played a5 and c5. The b5 square is loose, and your development is amazing. The bishop on c5 maybe doesn't want to be there, right? And I was really kind of inspired with what he did because, first of all, it wasn't good that he thought so long, right? Here's where he really tanked. But he came up with, I thought, an interesting way to deal with what looks like, on the surface, to most Catalan players, is going to look like a very dominant position coming up real quick here, right? So we had knight d7, takes, castles, castles, b6. And I was looking at it, I was like, well, I want to play knight e5. I want to play knight e5. And you tell me, it looked like there was the trick was that if you play here, he was going to do this dirty thing to you.
This is, yeah, I actually got this position a couple of days ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had this exact position.
I mean, I checked a lot of knight moves, but actually I was thinking here because, yeah, I realized that after knight e1, he can sack the exchange. I mean, I checked that, but I couldn't actually remember what to do. So I had to make sure that this is the correct position. And
so you, that's right, because you were moving very quickly, and you had knight e1 as part of your prep.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh wow. Well, that, I mean, it's just a huge advantage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like you had almost all your time, and he was thinking so much. And it was weird to me because, yeah, he was the one who played this offbeat line, so it was strange that he was thinking so much. Well, then I gave you too much credit earlier about knight e1 because I thought that was a very mature move where you're just getting all your pieces on the right squares, right, and knight d3. You're just better here, right?
I analyzed, I think he has both knight d5 and rook a7 are also playable.
Right, and to me this was the most interesting moment of the entire day today, where he decided to play bishop a6.
But I think, I mean, if I were black, I would probably do the same.
Really?
It looks very promising at first, to be honest.
Interesting, okay. Whereas knight d5, I thought,
yeah, it was like knight
roughly
d3.
equal or something?
It was like knight d3, bishop e7, and then,
right.
yeah, pretty normal moves.
Sure. I thought this was like the Armenian spirit coming home here with bishop a6.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. Well, your next couple moves were very precise. I assume it was like right around here you actually had to start thinking.
No. This is important because I take on a8, takes. I have to play b3 because, like, if I played knight d3, for example, I think queen e4 wins already.
Yeah.
Because he wants to play bishop b7, and also c4 is hanging, so there's no way to defend against that.
Right, and one interesting thing, you know, when we look at this position, part of his compensation has to be that you owe him a move with your knight on e1.
Yes.
But now, even though you just came from f3, now you want to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you want to go back because of the light square bishop. So I thought this was all really precise here.
Yeah, I remember queen d1. That's the last move I remember.
Well, that's very impressive preparation with queen d1. So wait, when you say you prepped this, like, because you had seen him play this variation before?
Yeah,
right.
as I said, he has 3 games here, and they're actually 3 games into position. So it's all his opening basically, And yeah, so to be honest, I was a bit surprised that I thought maybe he would try something else, but I guess he was confident. So.
Here I thought Black had a wide range of moves, like maybe Queen E4 might have been more testing, or Knight E4. But Queen E4 especially felt like I don't know, just the move I might do. Queen D5, of course, looks natural, but you know, after the other thing about it was, after Queen D5, I was like, you know what, this is easier for White to play.
Yeah, it's very surprising that, it looks like a nice attack, but White's moves are just very simple, just one Knight F3.
And I guess what I mean by that is he has to prove something now, and you just have to really just react properly. Right?
Exactly.
He's the one who needs some big idea, and that's why he was really cranking down on the clock here. So, did you guys talk, and did he feel like he maybe should have done something else right around here? Or?
No, we didn't get a chance to discuss. But like as you said, if you go Queen E4, I think Rook C1. I'm also not sure
what he's going to do. Right, it's this big quandary where you like the compensation is just abstract, right? It's kind of unclear what you want. That's why I thought Bishop A6 was the move of the day for me. I was like, what? Was that necessary?
I mean, I think he missed B3, because if I don't have B3, Black might be Black might just be better. So B3 is very important.
Right, and I guess the intuition would have been for Black is if you're moving back like this, then it can't be so bad for me. Yeah. So yeah, those two moves very precise. And here you're just knocking him out. He must have here been saying to himself, now I'm just going to settle down to try to play for a draw.
Surely, try to at least, stay solid, reasonably solid.
And one thing I was telling everybody earlier that I really admired here was with F6 and then E5, he's playing to make at least life hard for your knight on D2. But what I really liked about what you did here was right away.
1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
There was a very interesting moment. So here, Queen D3. It took me a while because at first I thought he could take on F2. Queen D3 takes.
Let's take a look. Yeah.
Queen D3 takes. It's very important that after E5 I have Queen D5. Otherwise, it's equal.
Oh, very nice trick. Yeah, very nice trick. So let's just show that. And the point is that the rook here is defended by the bishop. Yeah. Well, that's why, you're 2600 and I'm not. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, Knight F8. And then I really like this because you're just fixing your knight. Right?
Yeah, I more or less just wanted to trade a pair of knights to get a very simple ending.
Mm-hmm. And again, right, fix my knight. And he says no. Already here, big time pressure. And I want to highlight another one of the moves you made that I liked, where here, pretty natural, Rook FD1.
Well, yeah, here maybe Rook D1. I was concerned about A4 actually because originally I wanted A4 Rook D7. That was my concept. But I don't think it works because he plays AB. Okay, I take on B7. Now the move I missed was Knight D4. So yeah, he had the double attack. And for example, if I play King G2, he'll take on A2, and unfortunately, I can't stop his pawn. Like Rook A1, Rook A8. Yeah, Rook A7, Knight B3. Yeah, so that would have not been great.
No.
So yeah, I probably would have had to play Knight D2 and then have to.
But A4 would have been also just controversial because it's really opening the position even more.
Yeah, right? That's what that's what I basically like. I was just gonna go Knight D2, Rook B1, and A4 could become weak later on. So.
Right. And your knight is now doing something on D2, right? It can go to E4, protecting the C4 pawn. I felt like as long as that knight's doing something, you're winning this game. Right? That's why I'm simplistic. That's the way I saw it. Yeah, Rook C7, and then I really like your next move.
I was happy about this.
Maybe the computer would say something else, but what I liked about this is you're just sacrificing a pawn to solve your only problem, right, in the position. So I admire that a lot. And I think now
I thought, okay,
go ahead.
Very important is, okay, Knight D4 takes, let's say takes.
Okay, sorry.
I thought this is what he would try, like takes, FG, HG, knight c5, rook d6, and try to defend like knight a4. But I think c5 is very good here. So just break it all up.
So let's say pawn takes?
Yeah, takes. And now I wanted to go rook c4 first, include rook c4, knight b2, rook c2.
Oh, okay, nice.
He has to go back. I
so the knight's totally
dominated.
Yeah,
no, I thought just rook a6.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be lost.
Yeah, usually 2 rooks, 2 knights with pass pawn is just no problem.
And his knight's really going to be dominated. Okay, another nice variation. And here he was down to
this
minutes.
it was just hopeless. I mean, f rook b1.
Very simple. And I was saying, even if you didn't have the c pawn, you're still winning this one.
Yes, because if I easily win the a pawn.
That would just play this through. Black could resign any point, but I assume he was just kind of waiting to get a little bit past move 40. So congratulations, a beautiful start to the tournament.
Thank you.
Yeah. And who do you play next round?
I'm black against Shimanov. Shimanov, black.
Okay, good. Yeah. You can tell us what you're going to play against him?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks.
All right. And we'll now go for a commercial break. We'll be right back.
A question on Twitter from Damas. I should not have pronounced that. That was a bit of a trap, yeah? For those of you who are new to chess, it might look like ba3 is an illegal move here, because white advances pawn 2 squares, not 1. But it's a little something we call en passant. And you can do that, but you have to do it instantly. You can't wait for a move, like let's say play king e7, king g2, and now try, because... Should I do it? I'm sorry. This is too funny for words. This is a software glitch? I'm pretty sure there's not a lot.
Lawrence. Hello, Lawrence. Yeah, I'll play 4 against Lawrence. And now he's going to play something against me which we discussed at length during the course of my stay. Yeah, he told me this is excellent. d5, this was what I was kind of hoping for, because now I think e5 is quite strong. No, Lawrence, this is not how chess works. Sadly, it would be much, much more fun if chess actually worked like this. But I don't think it does. Or maybe it does. Well, that's me regretting what I just said. How did I get from there to here is a little bit beyond me. And what's worse, I will never hear the end of it. My quality of life has just gone downhill tremendously because I'm actually sharing the office with the guy.
Be surprised, be intrigued, be delighted. The World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis is nothing you'd expect and everything you love. 3 galleries highlight the history, culture, and creativity behind the game. Explore chess in ways you never imagined. It's a one-of-a-kind cultural institution where rare artifacts and world-class art play together. The World Chess Hall of Fame. Mind, art, experience.
And welcome back to the 2018 Winter Chess Classic. We just had a train of winners come in, and now I'm back. So Ben Simon, Grandmaster Jesse Kraai here in the studio having a whole bunch of fun here for the very first round of the Winter Chess Classic. Now we did have a couple of, well, we had a result coming in Group B as Theodoro and Michalewski have drawn their game. It was a 3-fold repetition. That was our key matchup in Group B. And you were taken a little bit by surprise by that result.
Yeah, I was. I thought Big Mick was totally lost. And he's a tricky guy. I've had Big Mick on the ropes before, and he's very hard to actually take down. And that's what happened here as well. Let's take a look. I assume White missed something. So Rook takes E8 happens, and then Rook A1, which I don't know about Rook A1. White, I would say here, has many good moves at his disposal. The point of Rook E8, though, is a little bit clever, and that is if Rook C7 now, then Big Mick can play rook c7 to defend. So that part is nice. And he must also have an idea on g4. And maybe the point was that this rook will get active in a sneaky way here. So I guess f6? I'm not sure about it, but let's take a look. f6 takes, takes, takes. This is hard, honestly. Rook takes, and maybe we're living. Maybe we're in the land of the living. I'm not sure. But all right, yeah. So rook e8, very nice defensive move. This is where we last left him. And, yeah, and it's a funny thing is even if black now loses a pawn, which is what happens here, but Big Mick is going to say is that the two bishops are sufficient compensation, and it doesn't really help white that the pawns are doubled on the queen side. So definitely an advantage for white here, but chances to draw. So I was wrong. Big Mick, I'm sorry. You found rook takes e8. It was a good move. Well defended. And let's just run through this. I don't know if we're going to get the guys in, but even here, it looked tough. This is called active defense. If you ever want to learn how to play chess, look at Big Mick and active defense. And white basically said, you know what, I don't want to risk it and do anything to allow rook takes b2, even though I'm now up 2 pawns. Because my bishop and my knight, especially, well, both of them, they're terrible, whereas black's bishops are very active. So Theodore's got to be upset by that, and it seems like Big Mick has slipped away. Count this as, even though it's a draw, count this as a win for the old guys. Yeah. When you slip away from a position like this, that's a good thing. There you go.
And I really want to jump over quickly to Group A. We've got Ray Robson versus Quesada. He's only up a pawn, is Quesada. But Robson looks to be in trouble here in this endgame.
I would say Robson's lost. And the problem is not simply that he's down a pawn. His king is significantly worse. And there's been a number of GM games dating back a long ways that show that when you're in the heavy middle game / late middle game, let's call it here, or end game, and your king is more exposed, that's a bad thing. So even if black wasn't up a pawn, we'd still have to say that his position was beautiful, right? So a terrible position for Robson, which in my mind all goes back to this move on move 13, d5, which allowed black to get an unclear position. And as might be expected, once this starts happening, now anybody can win because the bishop on b6 is reasonable, and white ended up just trading it off. No problems for black in this position. When you have the space advantage, you must control your opponent's pieces, or your space advantage will in fact become a problem for you. There are just more things for black to attack. And so here, when we left it actually, was something like, yeah, this terrible position with rook a3. Yeah, that's where we left it. And black is already better in this position. f4, that's a madman's move, honestly. Maybe that's, but you know, you're already in desperation mode here. So f4, and black's just playing simple chess. There goes the pawn. And again, already here we can see the coming endgame, where it's not just a pawn, it's that the white king is worse, right? And yeah, simple chess. I would say this has already been lost for a long time, but Robson's fighting on. And here we go, the game position. They've reached move 40. They'll probably take a little break, but this is totally lost. A good
King h5 on the board.
King h5 on the board. And a good game for everybody to look at in preparation for our great Fabi Carlsen match is the game Fabi versus Mamediara from the Olympiad, where we also saw this kind of endgame with a weak king. This king on h5 is truly weak, and I suspect there's more than one way now for black to win this. But in general, right, the point is simply that when you've got the king on the run, even exposed in these kinds of heavy endgames, it's probably not going to last that long.
Do you think that Quesada is will end up trading off rooks or queens here, or is there a way to finish it with everything still like this on the board?
We can guarantee that right now he says to himself, I've got 25 minutes, and I'm going to think until I find a clear win. It's not going to be like I think until I find a small advantage or some little thing. No, he's going now to end the game.
Quesada just played queen c6.
Yeah, that's a very natural move. So, all kinds of terrible things being threatened, the biggest one being queen h6 checkmate.
I would say so.
Yeah. That's too much. That's too much. Really a bummer for Robson. Yeah, because I really admired the opening that he played, and, you know, maybe what the young kids need is people like Big Mick and Benjamin and me to talk to him and say, D5 bad. But they'd probably say, yeah, I get it. I get it, old man. I get it, what you're saying with your D5 bad stuff.
Right. Elsewhere in Group A, Motilev versus Miro. Motilev has Miro cut off by a rook on the 7th. Is this recoverable for Miro, do you think, Jesse?
Probably not. And let's just say this is, whether Motilev wins this or not, this has been a very beautiful demonstration of how to get an equalish endgame position, but one that's rich, and then try to outplay your opponent. Unless Miro finds something amazing, I mean, it's just totally lost. The king is worse, and the pawn on e5 is going to run, and the white king is dreaming of coming up.
Right.
So, yeah. Totally, yeah, this is lost. And let's just remind our viewers that this all started with this incredible knight d3 move, which looks absolutely terrible. But this is the new life of e4 players, that it's very hard to get any clear advantage against e4, e5. Whether it's the Berlin, the Petrov, or the Rui, it's just a very equalish game these days. And what white players are doing is looking for original ideas like this, where they feel they understand the position just a little bit better and can outplay the other guy.
In the meantime, Quesada has defeated Ray Robson.
Yeah.
And great start for the Cuban player. And, you know, I'm really interested to see how he does in this event. You know, we're looking, oh man, Ray Robson is very disappointed. You know, he is the top seed in this field.
Right.
And I know that players say every day is a new game and you can't hold on to what was yesterday. But isn't that just a little bit difficult to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, not only that, but like, he made a mistake that even I understand. Yeah. I understood it at first glance. He knows that, and he knows I'm saying something terrible about the move d5 right now. You know, it's terrible to lose a game, and yeah, it's always hard, especially when you're white and it's had such a... It wasn't like he was winning out of the opening, but it was a very dominant position. You could tell that black was uncomfortable.
Oh, it looks like actually Yunieski Quesada actually mated him on the board.
Yeah, well, that we predicted that. We knew mate was coming. Let's take a look at the fine mate. So when we left it, we had queen c6. You have to defend queen d2, but then check to the miserable king. The rook comes up and zap. I was doing the puzzlers with the kids the other day. This is the kind of mate and twos we're looking at. Yeah, it's a brutal world.
Well, you add another one to the collection.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we're nearing the end of our broadcast time today, we have 3 games still remaining in Group A. We only have 1 left in Group B. And I think at this time I'd like to tell you about some really interesting events coming up here on our YouTube channel and in the St. Louis Chess Club family. I wonder what Fabi thinks of these. He's got to think this is really creepy, huh?
It's the mustache. The mustache, you know, kind of... It puts a flavor on Fabi that I don't think belongs to him, you know? I think he might, you know, I want one without the mustache. Let me put it that way. Maybe because I'm a family man. I don't know why.
Hey, I'll be going to London for the World Championship. I don't think I'll shave the entire time. I might look a little bit like that.
Yeah.
But speaking of the World Championship, we've got our own coverage coming up here this month. It's Today in Chess. Round-by-round coverage with the Super Friends, Grandmasters Yasser Sarawan, Maurice Ashley, and Women Grandmaster Jennifer Shahadi. The tournament starts, or the match starts, on November 9th, and you can see the full schedule online. There will be game, rest, game, rest, basically, up until the end. We'll be presenting this tournament at uschesschamps.com. We'll be presenting the match in an abbreviated format where we will go on the air kind of like this. We'll go on the air a couple hours later, and let's take a look at what happened today today in chess. And this is such a big match. I mean, this is a match that I've been waiting for, in theory, for years. Before I knew of a Caruana, an American in the World Championship match. It's going to be great, Jesse. I mean, how pumped are you for this?
I'm very pumped. I think I've always been pumped. I've loved the world. Basically, as a fan, I watch the World Cup every 4 years, and I watch the World Chess Championship every 2 years. That's all I got. Nothing else really interests me. And this one is the closest in recent memory. I really feel like these guys are very closely matched, even if the wise chess commentators probably still give the edge to Carlsen.
No, definitely. Carlsen has an edge, but, I mean, you've got FIDE #1 versus FIDE number 2 in the world. Close. That's going to be amazing, and they will go to a playoff if it's a tie 6-6. That's the current structure of the World Championship. They're also going to be covering, as far as Today in Chess goes, they're going to be covering the Women's World Championship. That 64-player knockout is actually going on right now. It started a few days ago, and by the time we start Today in Chess, I believe they'll be at around the round of 16. So we'll see how our Americans, Foiser and Crush, are doing. Actually on during the Today in Chess broadcast. Now, after Today in Chess, and we're kind of going to overlap Today in Chess a little bit, then this tournament overlaps Today in Chess. We are closing this year out with a bang, guys. The 2018 St. Louis Invitational is all about norms. Norms, you get 3 norms, you get the title that norm is associated with. Grandmaster norms, International Master norms, that's how you make a Grandmaster. We've got a GM norm, Hopeful Field, and an IM norm, Hopeful Field. That event goes down November 16th to the 21st, and we will have commentary right here from good old Studio B. So, and then after that, my goodness, the Grand Chess Tour Finals from London. It never ends. The Final Four, the 4 players who have qualified from the big Grand Chess Tour this year, they're going to compete in a miniature knockout consisting of classical, rapid, and blitz, all rated by the Universal Rating System, $300,000 prize fund, and the winner will be the winner not only of the London Classic, but also will be the winner of the Grand Chess Tour. We've got Hikaru Nakamura, Levan Aronian, MVL, and of course, Fabiano Caruana. Very busy season in London for Fabi.
I mean, think about it. This kid is so amazing that he is playing in so many events. Right? He's playing this, and then he's going to go on to play another event. It's kind of like, you remember when Michael Phelps decided like he's going to do all the events at that one Olympics in Beijing 2008?
Right.
That's what Fabi's doing. He's like, oh, do I need a rest? Like the old guys tell me I need a rest? Like that's their chess wisdom? No, I want to play.
Right.
As he's playing all the time.
Yes, he's been very active this year, and he's been on fire, the best year of his career.
And it's one of the things I'm going to acknowledge I was wrong about. Years ago, I was talking with some other, like Yermo and other GMs, and we were all like, no, young man, if you want to improve, you need to go home and study your games really earnestly with a pot of coffee. He's just going on. He's just going to play the next event. Yeah.
And it's quite admirable. You know, we've been watching him all year, going back to the candidates tournament in Berlin. And, of course, in St. Louis, he was one of the 3 co-winners of the Sinkfield Cup this year. Right. A very unique situation that happened there. So, do we have results or standings for this tournament thus far? Okay. Well, right now we do have still the 3 games going on in Group A. We do know that Quesada has won his game against Robson. Very important victory there. And, of course, Jeffrey Zhang winning over Melkumyan. And once that Zhang train starts going down the tracks, I mean, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, and actually I'll say as a chess fan, one interesting thing about this is there will be many more events before the next Olympiad, but basically Jeffrey is setting himself up to be on the Olympiad team, which is a very hard team to make. That's like making the NBA All-Stars or something, right? To get on that team, have a spot on that team is a big deal. And he's making his campaign now to get on the team, and also, to say, I'm one of the best. I can play with these top 4 guys. And Robson, oh man, you got a feel for him. He's got like this tiger on his heels here. Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see how this one plays out. We hope that you join us for the remaining 8 rounds. Remember, there's no rest day. It's easy to remember. Set it on a Google Calendar or something. Every day, 1 p.m. at uschesschamps.com, you can see the games begin, and then we come on the air at 3:30 p.m. Of course, the last day is a little bit different story. We'll get to that a little bit later on. We're going to have one winner in both fields. That's always very exciting. We have encountered playoffs before in this event, but not too many times, just actually only twice. So let's wrap it up. What do you say?
Let's wrap it up.
Tomorrow we'll be right back with you at 3:30 p.m. Central Time here at uschesschamps.com, where you can watch all the games live. And hopefully we'll see Timur Gareev making his St. Louis return. With maybe he'll be wearing like some groovy zebra pants or something,
or a parachute,
or jumping on a plane. Maybe we'll see that video tomorrow too. So this broadcast was produced by the world's greatest production B team. Tammy Hyde is the streamer today. We have Isaac Schranz as our graphics and audio man, and our technical director is Danny Machuca. So for Grandmaster in Residence Jesse Kraai, my name is Ben Simon. Until tomorrow, we say so long from the Show Me State. This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.